Good evening. Hello and welcome to Startup Central. I'm Nayantara Rai. This is the only show of its kind on Indian television dedicated to startups, of course, innovation, technology, disruption, entrepreneurship. Basically, if it falls under the gambit of the new economy, it's here every weekday on ET Now at 6 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, like all the stakeholders of the community that we get on this very show, the very team that puts this show together, the Startup Central team, thrives on constructive criticism. We love getting your emails. If you don't tell us how to improve, how we're going to improve, we want to take this show to the next level, another level higher, and another level higher than that. So keep writing into us. Our email address, suc@etnow.tv. It's on top of your screens. Today we're going to be talking about Dogecoins. And why wouldn't we? We had Doge father Elon Musk on Saturday Night Live talking about how it's the people's currency and how it's a hustle. You figure it out how you're supposed to put the two of them together. But what we did see was Dogecoin crack about 22% in trade. It sounds like a lot, but you know, the Dogecoin's not even worth $1 as yet. So it fell to about 50 cents. But nevertheless, it is now the fourth largest cryptocurrency. I'm going to be talking about the future of Dogecoin today on Startup Central. Something else that we're going to talk about, and you know, it's something we have been talking about, memes. Are memes now being accepted in the financial markets? And then what does it mean for all of you content creators? So keeping these two topics in mind, I've got two guests with me. I've got Akshay BD, well-known investor, and he's of course an advisor to cryptos as well. And we've got Tanmay Bhat with us. You all know him very well. He's been putting out YouTube videos also when it comes to cryptos. And I thought it'd be great to have him on the show to talk about the opportunities that exist for content creators. Thank you so much for joining us here today on Startup Central. Akshay, I'll come to you first. You know, we've had you on the show before when it comes to cryptos. Yes, you got Elon Musk saying it's a hustle. He talks about it being a people's currency. After that, you got SpaceX saying they will be accepting Dogecoins for you know, payments for the Doge 1 lunar mission. How are you folks reading this? At the end of the day, it's the fourth largest crypto. It's not even worth $1 as yet.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nayantara. I mean, I think it's fair to look at it by market cap, which is, I think, over $50 billion today. So more than Elon or SpaceX, I think the way to think about this is it's two things, right? One, it's a financial phenomena. Two, it's a sociological phenomena. The financial phenomena is that, look, we're in a world where there's negative or 0% interest rates. You know, money is freely available. There's a bunch of both monetary and fiscal stimulus that has led to abundance of capital, and we find ourselves in a frothy market, right? Having said that, it's also a sociological phenomenon where, you know, where our generation doesn't really have access to a lot of, you know, community, right? You know, our parents had access to, you know, they knew their neighbors. We don't even know our neighbors. You know, religion played a dominant role. So religion's role in our generation has dwindled. And in some level, it's about finding community and people with similar beliefs. And actually the Doge community, they call themselves the Doge Army. You should check it out on Reddit. They're an incredibly kind and wonderful bunch of people. In fact, they also helped contribute to the COVID relief fund put together by Sandeep Nelwal of the crypto community in India through Doge. So it's just a fun way for them to express themselves, support their artists, support causes they're involved in. Is it an investment? I mean, we can talk about that, but that's not the question I thought was the most interesting about Dogecoin.
I'm going to come back to you for that one, that should you invest in it? What kind of fundamentals work? Because everything that we've understood about fundamentals, investing, making money, I think have to pretty much go out of the window when it comes to Dogecoin. Tanmay Bhat, if I can come to you now. Good evening. It's exciting times for content creators as well. You know, whole tube techies as a joke who put out Dogecoin. But more than that, look at what has happened in recent times. Look at NFTs. Look at the gold rush that's coming from memes, the kind of money that we're talking about. You know, memes selling for $430,000 and all of that. How are you as a content creator seeing all of this? It's suddenly a brand new window open for all you guys.
But I think first and foremost, before I even say anything, I must clarify anything that ever comes out of my mouth should not be considered as financial advice in any sense. I know having said that though. Look, my approach to content has always been simple, right? Like I love making content, and I think if in that process I get to learn a hell of a lot about how the world of money works, then that's amazing. Then that's the reason why I start. But it's a crazy time, right? Like I think for the longest time, like capital was driven through trust, right? And it's still so. But I think we're entering this phase where attention kind of drives a lot of capital. And I think that is new and that is exciting. As an artist, NFTs, of course, is exciting. It's just a crazy time. I actually want to ask you, what does it feel like to you sitting, at what you do? You're used to having extremely serious discussions about money, and all of a sudden crypto comes around with meme culture and, all these jargon that makes absolutely no sense to people outside. For example, I YOLO'd on Doge is a financial statement. Did we ever believe we would be in a world where this sentence, maine Doge pe YOLO kiya, is actually an equation? How does that feel to you as a content creator yourself?
Well, it's certainly exciting time for us as well, right? And the future is here. It's going to be about how we all embrace it. But the point also is, how seriously are we going to take this? And that's the point I want to come to you now, Akshay, because, you've also tracked equity markets, you've tracked cryptos. We've had this understanding of how you look at fundamentals, on what basis you're supposed to understand. Should you invest in an equity or should you not invest in a stock and bonds and all of that? Now you've got memes of an oversized, overpossessive girlfriend, or this, all of that stuff that's coming out. Years of what we've learned and perfected have gone out of the window. Are there any fundamentals that are at play?
First of all, that meme is so 2016. No, I hope no one is investing money based on that meme. Akshay, go on.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think
come in for the fundamentals. How is are any fundamentals at play?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the fundamentals have stopped being in play for about 10 years now. And it's just, the boomers found a way to make that work in the stock market. And I think the millennials and zoomers are making that work in markets that are native to us. And crypto is a big part of that. Why do I say the fundamentals have stopped being in play? There's a gentleman called Christopher Wall. He's on Twitter at Wall_Christopher. If you look at him, he talks about how flows are more important than fundamentals. It's almost become a meme in itself, right? Flows over fundamentals. So if you can track where flows are going, that's really what it's been about. I mean, I guess the boomers call it momentum investing, and on some level, that's basically what's happening here. And I think that is a direct consequence of the low interest rate environment we're in, and even the equity markets are just as frothy, right? There are companies that are going public through a SPAC that probably don't have the sales to justify the valuation. You had companies like Nikola going live without IPO, even without a product. So I think that's happening on that side of the world as well. It's just this is more honest and native to the internet, which is why people kind of get confused. Now, I would say that, look, and Dogecoin as an investment, I'm not very sure. At least people should know that, look, like Bitcoin has a fixed supply cap of about 21 million coins. Doge, on the other hand, has about 130 billion coins. It has an inflation rate, which means there are, there are new coins added every day. And the inflation rate is about 5%, right? At least till 2027. And then it becomes 3%. And then by 2035, it eventually becomes 2%. So it's still got an inflation rate. So people should remember that. And, that's the thing you want. I would caution people against it. Just YOLOing into Doge is probably not a great investment idea. But is it a great community to be a part of? Is it a great gateway for people to learn about crypto? Most certainly.
The thing that confuses me, Akshay, is that, sorry, Rayantara, I just want to butt in, that we're acting like people have never done this before with, fiat and stocks, right? Like a majority of retail investors, how the hell do they come in? It's usually something vaguely that they hear that this could possibly be mooning. Right. And that's literally what's happening in Doge, except it's not being manufactured by people who have tons of money. It's more bottoms up. So all of a sudden, it's so confusing to boomers who are like, what is going on? You people are crazy. You're investing in something that you lose money in. I'm like, buddy, this has been happening for, decades on. Like, we didn't do this with stocks earlier. It's just that we go through regulatory authority to have a, official, this is what you can advertise and this is what you can't. Except with crypto, it's like, we'll just figure out what the branding is on our own and what the narrative is.
Actually, you want to come in on that?
Yeah, look, I mean, as I said,
metaverse has
it
no
could
rules,
become.
right?
Yeah, it has there are, again, there are rules that the community follows. If you look at the community, it's very self-policing in that way. And a lot of businesses now are accepting Doge. Look, these people can probably moon this into the currency of the internet. Meme this into the currency of the internet, therefore mooning it. But, tomorrow you can have a bunch of internet businesses that want marketing, right? You can think of e-commerce stores that are started by entrepreneurs in India, let's say, and they say, hey, look, I'm accepting Dogecoin. And then you attract the entire community of Dogecoiners to your website. So it just becomes another way of marketing. And it's just a fun currency for people to get involved. Again, I would caution people against investing in it or putting more money than they're willing to lose. If you buy like 100 rupees worth just to get into the community, that's probably okay. Again, not financial advice.
Because Tanmay started off by saying that don't take anything coming out of his mouth as financial advice. And Akshay, do you have any advice for our viewers who are tuning in today that when it comes to Dogecoins or when it comes to cryptos as well, any tips that you have for them, any advice you have for them? Because right now you're talking about YOLO, there's also FOMO at place, What is the advice that you have for all of them that want to invest?
Yeah, look, first of all, I would say the fact that Tanmay and me are on this show is probably a top signal, right? So understand that you're probably, I mean, this is signs of a frothy market. The thing I would say is, look, it's the basic common sense stuff. You should probably listen to your parents or your grandparents when it comes to this stuff because you don't want to use leverage. There is no next Bitcoin. There's just only one Bitcoin, and 95% of what you see is probably not worth investing in unless you truly understand it. Allocate what you're willing to lose. Have a diversified portfolio. Remember that bear markets are sometimes brutal. Crypto moves in hype cycles, right? So when you buy and when you sell is kind of important in this journey. So even though Bitcoin is an extremely important project for the world and for humanity, I think it still dropped from 20,000 to 3,000 in the previous market. There was an 85% drawdown. So just be prepared for the volatility. Enter the community first, learn first, and then think of investing. A lot of people are like looking for the next 100x or 10x. They're trying to double their money or triple their money in 2 weeks. That ends really badly most of the time, if not all of the time. So just remember that, and come and get to know the folks in crypto. They're a lot more fun than your mainstream communities.
I think that's something that's helped me is just talk to 5 people who are significantly more informed than you. Otherwise, what you're essentially doing is speaking to other people who are as clueless as you, being like, hey, I got 3x on this, you should do it too. But if they can't explain why they got 3x on it, if they can't explain why they've made that investment outside of the fact that it's going to, balloon, then probably just avoid that. Just talk to 5 people who are just significantly more informed. Another hack that I do is just replace all the garbage content that you see on social media. Follow some good accounts that actually talk about, like you would say in stocks also, look at the fundamentals, look at the actual projects that are being built. And I think once you do that, you start understanding that this is not just some sort of a get-rich-quick scheme. This is it's almost like you're buying into a philosophy about how the world is changing. And I think that to me is a much bigger gain for your long-term mental health than sitting and being worried about this went down by 10% and 20%. If you look at the world from a different lens, once you start understanding how money functions, that to me is a much bigger gain, because you can then make money for the next 40 years as opposed to the next 3 months.
Before I let you both go, Tanmay, I want to just ask you one thing. We've seen all the headlines around the world when it comes to this gold rush for memes, for NFTs, for GIFs, all of that, okay? But we should also perhaps remember that a lot of this gold rush that we've seen are for memes that have been around for a long time. They went viral years ago, and it's now that's been monetized years later. The question I want to ask you is that in India, are you seeing any content creators looking at this, looking at it seriously, thinking about it at all?
Sorry, I didn't quite. I'm trying to try and understand what you asked, because memes and NFTs are they're very different, right? Like they're not the same thing. NFT is non-fungible token. There's a
I know they're very different. What I'm trying to get at. No, I know they're very different, Tanmay. What I was trying to ask you is that we've still not seen any of the Indian content creators looking at it. Is it going to happen? But either of the two, whether it's for memes or whether they want to look at GIFs or whatever it is, are they looking at it at all?
Looking at NFTs, right? I think so, but I think I was speaking to a few artists just a few weeks ago. Look, as Ethereum becomes more valuable, NFT artists are slightly, they feel like, why would someone spend this money? So Ethereum needs to be less. The gains on Ethereum need to be less than the gains you would make on the art you are purchasing. It's simple math, right? So as I was speaking to the artists, this is the feeling that I got. But it's already happening. Many artists are getting into it. At the very least, they're going to look at NFTs as a sort of a marketing tool, as sort of a way to galvanize their own community, which I think is great, right? It's another tool to build what you are already good at. So at least in that sense, people are definitely looking at it. I don't go past a day without someone asking me what an NFT is and should they consider it. And my advice is always just read up about it. If it seems exciting enough, just try something new. Why the hell not? But when it comes to purchasing NFTs, that's when I would really sit down and look at the math on what that would cost you. But yeah, creating NFTs, everybody's at least aware of it and they're looking at it.
And Akshay, just looking at the very fact that NFT is based on the Ethereum platform, that's how the trading take place and all of that, isn't this a moment where India can also seize, with the soft power of Bollywood, our obsession with entertainment, with all of that, our own platform?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen a bunch of, platforms emerge in India. So, there's a platform called Kalament, for example, which is a homegrown native NFT platform. I'm rooting for that team. There's a bunch of other, NFT platforms that are coming about. It's obviously, these are early days. What I would also say is it's a great way for artists to monetize their content. So I'm actually very optimistic that artists in India will benefit from this as they learn about NFTs and how they can monetize their work directly without a middleman. And I think NFT will go through its own hype and boom and bust cycle. Not too worried about that. In the long term, it's an incredible way for artists to build community. And I expect that, especially in India, you'll probably see something around Bollywood and cricket first, and then eventually with indie artists and, the internet culture will take over.
Okay, so we'll leave it at that. Tanmay and Akshay, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been good fun as well. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, Nandara. Bye.